Hey, it's David and welcome to Po Run. Today was a beautiful early spring day. It was brisk, it was sunny, it's been cool, it's been hot for a few days, and today I thought it'd be a great day to talk about ducks. Some of the things that we've learned about ducks. We'll go over the top questions that we get from people at the farmer's market or friends, family, about them. We'll also talk about some of the expectations should you choose to have ducks. And then finally we'll talk about some cooking tips for making eggs itself. So really the focus here is not ducks as a meat animal, but really more so ducks as egg production and why duck eggs are so good for you. I think one of them's left. I've mentioned in a previous video that ducks don't need nesting boxes. Need being a relative term, because they tend to lay wherever they're going to lay. So we tend to let our ducks out around anywhere between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. And hopefully they've all laid their eggs by that time. It's not always the case, but that's what we hope for. So that one, as you saw, was just laid in the dirt. I have another one here in this makeshift little nest in the corner, and they made this. We didn't make that for them, and it's still warm. So there's two. You can see that one of them is cleaner than the other. They get washed, so we'll rinse all this mud off, because you know, eating mud's not that much fun. Let's wipe that bigger piece off, just because. Put our eggs in our little bucket here, and we can go collect some more eggs. So the vast majority of them do lay in the house itself. I think there's a lady here who might still be inside. I count the ducks, and again, ducks are the females and drakes are the males. I think there might be a duck in here still. Yep, there's my lady. Now she's been hanging out here every morning later than normal, and I don't think she's laying. I think she's actually trying to sit on the eggs. And you might think, well, let her sit. There's a good video from another channel called Goldshaw Farm where he actually did let that happen, and you can go watch that if you want and see the results. They have a tendency to eat all the bigger pieces first, and then they leave some of the minerals. So we dump all that in here, and then I'm going to go through and mix it up so that stuff ends up at the top. And now they have more grain for today. So the lady is probably getting ready to get up, since she is trying to cover this nest up a little bit. So there's quite a few eggs underneath her. So I'm not going to be mean and chase her off, but she'll get up the moment I go over there. Hi, Mr. Blue. Unfortunately, I didn't have the camera running. Blue decided he was going to chase one of the ducks, which he knows he's not supposed to do. She was not separated from the group, but she was definitely not as close to the group as the others were. And so she quacked, because again, ducks quack, drakes don't quack. And all the ducks flew right at her and in front of Blue, or I should say flapping their wings madly. Most of them really can't fly at all. A couple of them have a controlled descent, and scared him. So as far as like some of the questions that we get from people at the farmer's market, especially, but also friends and family, wow, they have duck eggs. I've never had a duck egg before. And you're not alone. You know, the vast majority of people actually eat chicken eggs, and chicken eggs are by far the most popular egg to eat. But you can eat chicken eggs, duck eggs, quail eggs, turkey eggs. You can eat guinea fowl eggs, which are about the size of a chicken egg, ostrich eggs, on and on. All of them are edible. Please don't go steal eggs out of a bird's nest. That's a bad idea. The eggs, in general, are incredibly good for you. And this is actually a point for later. But there's a huge amount of nutrition in an egg. And in that egg contains large amounts of protein, large amounts of fat, huge amounts of minerals and vitamins that you need. And it also contains some scary stuff that isn't really so scary, one of which is cholesterol. Now, one of the things that you'll read online is that duck eggs contain twice as much cholesterol as a chicken egg. And immediately you think, that's bad. Well, I encourage you to do some research. The research that I have done and articles that I have read in the National Institute of Health, that nutritional cholesterol does not increase your cholesterol. All right? Yes, there may be mild changes to the quantity of cholesterol in your body, but it is proven in these reports to show that the cholesterol increases are all the good cholesterols and none of the bad cholesterols. Please do your own research. I will put a link down below for an article that's got some great references, and you can go read these studies as well and find out what they say. Another common thing that people ask us is, do duck eggs taste different than chicken eggs? Well, usually just say no, but they really do. And the reason I say no is because I don't want people to think duck eggs taste like a duck or they taste different in some way. What duck eggs taste like is the best egg you've ever had. They're richer and they're creamier. So imagine a duck egg being a chicken egg on steroids as far as flavor goes. Additionally, they're much better for baking because they contain more fat and more protein. They have a much better yolk to white ratio, which is also good for baking, but all the good nutrients is actually in the yolk itself. If you're just eating the whites, you're missing all the nutrients in there. And people are doing it to lower their cholesterol. Again, read the studies. Flowers blooming, spring is in the air, and we're really excited to see how this place is going to change with all the work we've been doing for the last couple of years on it. So another important thing to remember about duck eggs is, again, not only do they have more nutrients and are better for you, and I will show you what that looks like, but they don't cook that much different. And when I say they don't cook that much different, I don't want anybody to think that if they get duck eggs, they have to change their habits of cooking. The one thing that is different that we have found is if you love hard-boiled eggs. And if you like hard-boiled eggs, I do recommend bringing your eggs to room temperature. When I say that, it's because the vast majority of eggs that you're going to be purchasing from a farmer have to be washed and they have to be refrigerated for them to legally sell them to you. Unfortunately, that means you have to bring them to room temperature before you cook them. Once they're at room temperature, put them in cold water, bring cold water up to a boil, and from boil, it's 8 minutes. Once the 8 minutes is done, you're going to then run cold water over them until they completely cool off. You may need to do that for 5 to 10 minutes for the eggs to completely cool. Once you've done that, they should peel quite nicely. For all you bakers out there who would like to use duck eggs instead of chicken eggs and are wondering what the ratio is, honestly, we use them the exact same way. So if your recipe calls for 1 chicken egg, use 1 duck egg. Something else that's important to know about eggs and cooking them is that if you're going to go with over easy eggs or your scrambled eggs, you're going to cook them exactly the same way. Again, duck eggs just taste a lot better. So if you decide you want to get some ducks, I have a few things from our experience. And we're not experts at any of this stuff, but this is some of our experience raising ducks. If you just want some cute ducks running around, go find some cute ducks. We chose khaki Campbells because of their great laying ability and can outlay most all chickens. Blue, knock it off. Leave the ducks alone. I told you that. Get over here. Silly cat. The other thing about keeping ducks, and it's a kind of a focus on some other YouTube channels, is that ducks are messy. And, you know, they can be messy is from their water. Ducks love water. But, and this is the important part, they need water deep enough to get their entire bill into the water. It allows them to clean their nostrils. They must have water associated with food as well. You can, on a regular basis, provide enough water, deep enough water, for them to bathe in. They love that. But don't use gravity waters for your adult ducks. They will go through a gravity water in 3 seconds, and you're going to have a giant muddy area around the gravity water. We use rubber tubs for our ducks. And if you use a small enough rubber tub that's deep enough, they can get their bills all the way in and clean themselves properly, have plenty to drink without wasting a lot of water. Please don't restrict their access to water because you don't like the mud. Don't get ducks. The second thing is related to them is that certain times of the year they can be a little stinky. And that's just the way it is. Alright, so if you're in a backyard situation and you want to keep 50 ducks, you're going to have a problem because they're going to smell. Most importantly, we love our ducks. We love having them around. Our khaki Campbells are amazing at foraging. What your duck eats has a huge impact on the nutritional value of the eggs themselves. It's very important to understand that if you feed your ducks garbage food, you're going to get not so great eggs out of them. We supplement their feed with an incredibly high quality organic feed that we get from a company called New Country Organics. As a side note, we're also a distributor for New Country, but we became a distributor because we love their feed, not the other way around. Secondly, ducks are going to forage, and when they forage, that's where they're going to get a huge amount of their nutrients. And their nutrients is going to come from the insects and the slugs and the other things that they're going to eat that's going to add the value to their eggs. So it's very important to get a duck that actually forages. Some ducks don't forage that well. Some people are going to keep them in a very small container or cage and they won't be able to forage. And I'm sorry, you're not going to get the best eggs for that. That's one of the reasons why you don't want to buy commercially grown eggs. Those chickens are in cages. They don't forage. They're not eating insects. Make sure they have outdoor access and they're able to forage. Well, hopefully that gives you a good idea of why we have ducks, why we chose our khaki Campbells. Understanding that, yes, duck eggs are much better for you with more nutrients and more flavor. And I would highly encourage you, any of you, to go and seek your local duck egg. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and send us a comment below. Have a great day.